Hello. Welcome to our first episode of Finessing the Essay. My name is Emily. I'm the Design for Life teacher here at New Design High School. And today I have two old students of mine who are now seniors, Robert and Lynette. All right, so first up, I'm going to have Robert talk to us about his essay and what it's all about.
Yeah, perfect. My essay centers around this thing that I called abundance. It's basically like the way that people, I'm trying to figure out how to put it. It's the way that like people take their cultures and make it their own, right? So my essay centers a lot around like my abundance as someone who is Afro-Latino, someone who's African-American and Ecuadorian. I feel like there is a lot that both sides of my history have to offer. And I essentially wanted my essay to just focus on that and how that plays a part in my identity and just the way that I interact with the world around me.
Awesome. Thank you, Rob. Now we're going to move over to Lynette.
All right, so for me, wait, what was the question?
Tell us a little bit about your essay.
Oh, okay. So I basically wrote about like I'm sorry. Okay, I basically wrote about like where I grew up and like how growing up had an effect on me. I wrote about like the violence I seen and like why it's leading me to where I want to be and like why I want to be what I want to be in life.
Which is what?
I want to be a prosecuting lawyer.
That's awesome.
Wow, very, very cool. All right, thank you both. And just to share, I know I haven't written my college essay in now, I think it was 11 years ago. But my essay spoke about how all the experiences I had throughout my education made me feel kind of bad about myself. I spoke a little bit about how when I was in third grade, I told my teacher I wanted to be a stylist. And then she went and grabbed like 6 of her teacher friends and was like, "Say it again, Emily." And then they all laughed at me. And I know, looking back, I'm sure they thought it was really cute. I also remember when I was in high school in biology, I got 100 on my test. And at the time, I also just started cheerleading. And I remember a boy in my class, the seat in front of me, turned around. He looked at my test and he goes, "You got 100? You're smart. You don't look smart. You're a cheerleader. I never thought you were smart." And I kind of spoke about how all those things in my education made me want to be a teacher that kind of could be everything at once. It could be someone that is into style, is into cheerleading, enjoys makeup, but also, enjoys education and academics and providing space for everyone to be everything they want all at once.
That's awesome.
Thanks. So now we are going to move on into our first question. How did you approach crafting this essay? Was it difficult for you to come up with the ideas? How did you outline your thoughts beforehand? Or did you just jump in? Anything about the creative process? So we'll start with Rob.
Okay, so I know the one thing that they tell you not to focus on when you write your personal essay is your achievements. You don't want to essentially like list your accolades because the paper does that for you in your application. So when I went to write my essay, I tried to think about like what things that I do in my life represent who I am and what just like really describes what is me, right, in this big world. So I went with volunteering. I volunteer every weekend, every Saturday at this place called the River Fund. And it's a really beautiful, diverse place where so many different kinds of people just come and they help out to volunteer. Even the clients, sometimes they're just beautiful people from different parts of the world, and everyone there we're all just one big family. And I felt like that really, like the River Fund encapsulated that social side of who I am and that side of me that just loves to meet new people, loves to talk, and loves to experience new things. So I was trying to think like what about the River Fund like is gonna help me write this essay, right? So I took that social aspect of it and I was like, okay, I have so much of myself that I want to share with the world, and I used the River Fund as a vessel for that. And yeah, after that it was Murder She Wrote, and my essay became what it is.
So cool. All right, Lynette, what about you?
For me, I had a sense of what I wanted to write about like since the summer, but like after some things happen in life and like I seen certain deaths come upon, I was like I knew for sure what I was gonna write about. I don't like this goes for all my writing. I don't like practicing. Like I don't like outlining stuff. I just like go in. I feel like if I'm like trying to brainstorm something or I'm trying to practice on how to do something, I mess up and it's like it just doesn't work for me. So I just went in. A lot of people were telling me to like write about myself, and while I did like put some of myself in my essay, it wasn't mainly about me. It was mainly about like the people around me, and like the people I grew up with, and how what happened to the people I grew up with like had an effect on me, and I don't know like it was like a way of like making them have pity, but it wasn't at the same time. And I know you shouldn't have that. Like I shouldn't maybe have done that, but at the same time, it's like I didn't know what else to write, and I wanted to write about something that like explained why I was majoring in like criminal justice.
Yeah, it's such a hard balance between, like, I always say so many of us feel like the perfect essay topic is our traumas because they always feel like the biggest thing that happened to us and the most important thing. But I also always try to give the perspective that, at the end of the day, unfortunately, so many people go through so many traumatic events. And if anything, talking about how you kind of transpired from that experience is what they want to see. Um, I also, in my writing process was kind of stuck. I didn't feel, at that time, I didn't feel like there was too many traumatic things happening to me. I felt like life got harder once I got older. But I knew that there was always a dichotomy between what I wanted to be and what the people around me expected me to be. I grew up in a very traditional Jewish home from immigrant parents from Iran that, the expectation, both my grandmas got married at 14. The expectation was for me to be married by 18, to have children, to never work, to never go to college. And breaking those boundaries was, for me, so much part of my story of what I wanted to do, who I wanted to be, and kind of fighting back every person in my life, whether family or friends. And I really leaned a lot on my teachers. And I felt that if I could show colleges how determined I was, despite my circumstances, despite, my version of trauma and pain, which was more social than anything else, I could prove to them that I'm really in this, I'm really gonna get there. Ultimately, these colleges are businesses, and they wanna know, will this student stay determined on this path, or will they give up at some point? And the more you prove that based on your circumstances in life, you're gonna get there, I believe that the more so they're like, all right, this is exactly who we wanna have on our team with our name on their plaque on the wall.
Wait, if I could add on before you move on, it's kind of like a big episode of Shark Tank where it's like you come up to like these judges or these big schools and you really have to sell yourself and you have to talk about why these colleges should invest in you as a human being and as a person. And your essay really just it's your business pitch, and it tells them whether or not you are going to succeed and whether or not you have qualities and traits that will help you when you go past college and beyond that. Because these colleges want you to represent them, not just while you're in college, but after, up until you die.
Yeah, totally.
I'm over here thinking like, how much do y'all feel like our personal statement, like, how much of an effect do y'all feel like it has on whether we get into school or not?
I think of everything I think my application was super strong. Not to like boast, but I had like a 96. No, I had around the 96 average. I'm class ranked number 8 in our entire class. But I feel like what really set me apart from a lot of the other 7 students who were higher than me was my essay, because I don't think anybody's essay really spoke about like the beauty of who I am, of who they are as a person. I guess my essay really is all about me, and it's about how I interact with the world rather than the other way around. It's like I define every situation that I'm in, and I think that really it really sells who I am as a person. I think it was really the strongest part of my application.
Do you like
Do you feel that way, Lena?
for my essay? Yeah, because it was like I wrote a little bit of trauma in there too. So it was like I don't know. That's I really don't know. I feel like it could have been that, but it's like, what if my grades weren't as good? And like with my writing, I feel like a lot of people see me and don't expect me to have as good as grades as I do.
No,
Like
you're really smart, dude.
I, I know, like not even to be conceited, I know that, but a lot of times I'm just like playing around a lot that people be like, wow, like. So I feel like for me, like seeing my grades and like seeing all my acceptances, it's like it feels good seeing it, like to know that you worked for this and to know that like all the work that you've been putting in for the past 3 to 4 years, they weren't a waste of your
Yeah,
time.
it's the fruits of your labor. And I think even if you write about, because you said you mentioned like traumas in your essay, I think it's okay to write about things like that when you own them in a way that it's not like, you don't write about it in a way that's like, look at me, I'm sad. You rather, it's like, look at how I overcame this and look at how like I defined it rather than let it define me. I feel
Yeah,
like when you
that's
do
what I
that in
mean.
your essay, it it you sell yourself really well, and you sell yourself as this person who's able to overcome even like the strongest adversity, no matter what age, no matter how big.
Yeah, I feel like for my essay, like what I wrote about my trauma is like because of my trauma, I want to go here and I want to do this and I want like a change, and not only a change for myself, but like a change in the world.
Exactly.
And like it's really big to say the world, but I feel like I have really high expectations of myself,
Yeah, word. That's good.
and I just hope I can make a change.
Yeah, make a change for all the other little boys and girls that hope don't have to go through all the same things that we do. I think that's the goal for our generation.
I agree with everyone. um, so my next question for you guys is, where do you see yourself in 10 years? I know it's a tough one, right? Because we don't, it's hard to look that forward. But like you said, I feel like the college process is when you start getting excited for your future, because you're like, oh my God, finally I'm gonna be able to have the independence to make choices in my life and about my life. And it's kind of like work. You work hard, you focus, you make a lot more money, you get a lot more freedom, right? You get a lot more responsibility, but a lot more freedom. Where do you see yourself in that process?
In 10 years, I'm not gonna lie, I might still be in school. I have like a long road ahead of myself.
Yeah, me
and like
too.
it's sad to think about it and say like I keep telling myself like you're almost done, you're almost there. But now that I think about it, it's like I'm not. But I feel like it's gonna be way different for me though. Like I won't think about it like, oh, I hate school. Like I won't think about it how I think about school now. Cause at the end of the day, it's a step closer to like where I want to be in life.
No, word, yeah. As much as I would love to say I think I'd be filthy rich in 10 years, I think that, like, because I want to go into psychology, like, even after 6 years, I'll have a master's degree, which is useless in the psychology world, which sucks. So I either have to get a bunch of certificates or, like, get a PhD. So I'll definitely still also be in school, but I think that I see myself um, in a more open mindset, in a sense that like 10 years from now I'll be 27 years old and I'll be in a position in my life where I'll have enough education to approach the world way better than I do now, and I'll also be able to start involving myself better in my field. I think that even without a very strong degree in a master's in psychology, I think that just based on the kind of person I am and the way that I sell myself, I will be a lot further than other master psychology students.
Awesome. I have no idea where I'll be in 10 years. Probably still in this classroom, still talking on this mic. My final question for you both. How did this writing your personal statement process teach you anything about yourself, or help you reflect on anything about yourself that maybe you didn't think so much about before? I unfortunately say that this generation does have a tendency to have an easy way out of reflecting on themselves, whenever you feel any kind of discomfort, you just immediately go to scrolling, and it's a quick numbing mechanism that's right in your pocket. But this writing process does force you to think about who you are, and what you've gone through. So I just want to know if you've learned anything new about yourself.
Do you want me to go first? Okay. So I feel like the process of writing my personal essay really taught me a lot about like how smart I am. Everyone always told me like that I was really smart and I had all these like really big achievements that like proved it. But to me, I didn't really feel like I was all that big. So it really hit me after I wrote my essay. When I wrote because I wrote about the River Fund, they read it there. And when they had the fundraising gala, the owner of the River Fund read out my essay as a part of his speech. And when I stood up and I got to see all of these people who like had already made it, like these were like the top 1%, like these are all really big donors and like big people in finance and in like medicine and then just like the people that they tell you that you want to be like are all looking at me and applauding for me, and they're all coming up to me and they're like, your essay was phenomenal, like I can't wait to like see how far you go in the future, like just telling me all these things that they believe in me. It became real when like the people that you want to be tell you that like you're gonna get there. Like the amount of people that I had tell me that I should write a book was like, it was insane. And I just really feel like like seeing the effect that my essay had on this small group of people really sold myself to myself in a way that it's like I was able to prove to myself that I am everything that like paper says that I am in terms of like academic achievements and so much more.
For me, what was the question again?
What did this process teach you about yourself?
Oh.
Or help you reflect on in your own life?
Honestly, like during my writing process, I finally processed everything that has happened for me. Like, I don't know, I feel like it made me realize that I'm a person who I mainly just run from my feelings, and I shouldn't do that. And like while I was writing, I realized like you can't run now. Like
You helped you heal in some weird way.
Yeah, I'd say like I got emotional a couple times writing it because it's just like seeing the way life went. Because I made like in my essay I had talked about this thing where I had seen one of my sentences where it's crazy, like the cycle of life is something that'll forever scare me. I seen me and my friends running around playing tag from seeing my friends like running from bullets, and that always stuck with me. I don't know why. Like that's the one line that I always remember from my essay, and
That is a really good line. That's
It's
a really good line.
really good line. Powerful.
I don't like for my essay. I don't know. I just realized like you can't run at sometimes you cannot run. There's nothing you can do but face it. And it's like people try to run, and Emily, how you said like we try to scroll, and those are just temporary solutions. Temporary solutions.
Absolutely, and the well just keeps filling up, right?
Yeah, it's just like so. Like when I finally got to the point, and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna write about. Because it took me like a lot. I was gonna write about my relationship with my father at first, and how it was like iffy. But I'm like, at the end of the day, it is what it is with him, and I need something to like motivate me at times. Because I know in about a couple years, if I ever have the feeling of giving up, I can always go back to my essay and read it, and like it's gonna remind me like this is what you're doing it for.
Yeah. Wow, I love that, Lynette. That's beautiful.
Thanks.
This is so awesome. I don't want to leave.
I think we have time for like
Yeah,
more
maybe
questions.
one more question. So, everyone, when you are recording a podcast, you should choose your questions ahead of time.
Noted. Noted.
So, everyone choose your questions ahead of time, but also let the conversation flow. Do either of you have a question to pose, maybe?
Yeah, so what about like let me see. If you could give any advice to anyone like writing their essay now, like what would it be?
Honestly, just be real. Like, you don't gotta lie. Talk about something that's not gonna bore you. Honestly, writing my personal statement, I think that's the funnest essay I wrote. And I think it's because it's about you. Like, it's an essay for yourself. It's not one that, like, you're in a box. You can think outside the box for that. And just write about something that is fun for you, that is like, oh, yeah, I want to do this. Or writing about this makes me happy. Because if not, if, like, you feel forced to write it, and you're writing about something you don't want to write, you're not going to give your all, and you're going to bullshit it. I could curse. Yeah, you could curse. You're going to bullshit the whole thing, so it's like, you don't want to do that.
No, yeah, totally. I think that your essay really should be like the best reflection of who you are as a person that you've ever written. Like your essay literally needs to be you on paper. Like I said, like you're really trying to sell yourself. So if you don't really own up to the kind of person that you are, like whether good or bad, then you aren't really writing your personal essay. And I think that it's just like, yeah, you really just have to look internally and you have to go through all those like mental battles of like, why am I the way I am? And like, why am I proud of who I am?
You gotta go deep sometimes.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Real deep.
And like it's sometimes it does get uncomfortable, but I think that only the most beautiful roses come from concrete. You know, it's like once you get through those. That's a Tupac quote. I stole that. But like copyright. Once you like get through like those really tough and hard moments of your life, you realize the most beautiful things about yourself. And that's what really sells your essay, and it sells who you are as an individual. And then beyond that, like, of course, college doesn't define you. Like, they're all rich assholes. So, like, if they don't accept you, like, don't take it to heart.
Yeah. Honestly, too, like, remember, the people reading this don't really know you. So
Exactly.
You don't want to make yourself seem a way you aren't, or you don't want to, like, fake who you are for these people to impress them, because at the end they don't know you. And you choose one college. You don't choose all of them. So
Exactly. So, yeah.
Matter.
I mean, like, the colleges that do accept you, that means that they really recognize who you are as an individual. And you just make sure that you know your self-worth before you decide where you want to go. And before you even write your essay. That's all I've got.
Beautiful. Yeah, just to kind of add on to that, you know, I like to imagine these essays as a reflection of both your personal and academic ability. And it's a little bit of a dance between the two of showing who you are as a human, what your strengths are, and again, kind of like what Lynette was saying, you can pick and choose the personalities that you want to show them, right? You want to show them your best qualities, you want to show them your strengths, you want to show them what makes you unique, and you also want to show them your capacity to write in a very creative and interesting way to engage people.
Use it as a diary. You can do that.
Yeah?
For me, this is like my first time actually talking about my personal statement since I like turned them in. So it was like, people don't really read them. Like, you don't really go around talking about it. If you want to share it, you can. If you don't, you don't have to.
I do, because I'm really conceited.
Of course. Of course.
Well, everyone who's listening to this is unfortunately going to have to talk about it.
Ooh.
But anyway,
You'll be
I get what
okay.
you're saying.
So, like, be proud of what you write and be proud of who you are, because you're writing who you are. So you should be not just comfortable, but confident in sharing, like, the kind of person that you are. Because, like, you all have something to offer to the world. If not, you'd be dead by now.
And there's nothing wrong with you guys. Don't think anything's wrong with you based on what you write.
Exactly, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for joining us on our first episode of Finessing the Essay. My name is Emily, and hopefully we will next time hear from some current juniors. Thank you.